So bars and restaurants are reopening in England as they are seeing the number of coronavirus cases going down, at least over the past few weeks. There are pictures and videos out there, though, from social media showing large crowds in some areas of London as the establishments reopened Saturday. But authorities say for the most part, people followed social distancing, they wore their masks, and they complied with the rules put in place to stop the spread of the virus. So Roxana Saberi has been following this story, and she joins us now. Roxana, I saw some of the pictures of people sort of crowded in streets outside of pubs, but as I understand it, those images are sort of out of the ordinary, that by and large people did maintain social distancing, and I was really impressed with some of the measures that I saw restaurants and bars take inside the establishments. Lots of plexiglass, protecting diners from other diners and workers from customers. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the measures put in place?
Yeah, that's a lot of what we saw too, Anne-Marie. Well, first of all, people we met were in very high spirits, glad to enjoy a pint at the pub with their friends. They told us they missed the sense of community they got from their local pubs after England went into lockdown in March. And there are those guidelines that you referred to the government wants pubs and restaurants to follow. Guests are encouraged to reserve tables in advance. When they arrive, staff should register their names and numbers to trace any future COVID-19 infections. Groups should be limited to 6 people, spaced at least 3 or so feet apart. One pub we visited on Saturday was fully booked, but at less than half its usual capacity to allow for social distancing. And to see a menu and order food there, you had to use an app. Several staff were wearing masks, but the government does not make that mandatory. Anne-Marie?
So give me a sense of what the numbers are like in the UK. For a while there, in England particularly, they were kind of rapidly outpacing their European neighbors in terms of cases, but it looks like things have turned around a little bit.
Yeah, they do seem to be getting better. The infection rate has been dropping. Just over 500 new cases have been reported so far for this weekend. But the UK still has the highest coronavirus death toll in the world after the US and Brazil. And as the lockdown eases here in England, there are concerns about safety. Nearly a third of bars, pubs, and restaurants are not opening yet. That's according to an industry association. And a lot of people also say they're staying away from pubs and restaurants until they feel safer. Anne-Marie?
I know that there was an increased police presence for Saturday. What did authorities have to say about what they expected to happen on Saturday versus what actually did? And was the police presence just more about, perhaps people getting a little too rowdy because they've been locked up for so long, or are they also sort of participating in enforcement when it comes to coronavirus restrictions?
Yeah, what we learned was that there was an increased police presence just in case there was rowdiness. And, when people drink, you never really know what happens. And plus, so many people had cabin fever. There was a fear that things would get out of hand. We did see those pictures like the ones you showed earlier of the popular Soho district in London, which were packed with people outside pubs late on Saturday night. There were a few reports of arrests made Saturday night. But for the most part, we did hear from several police forces that it was quieter than expected this weekend. And the health secretary said most people did act responsibly. Anne-Marie?
So when we talk about some of the images coming out of Soho, we're talking about England in particular, but the UK is not just England, and I believe that there are different rules in different places. So do you have a word on what happened in other areas of the UK?
Yeah, you're right. There are different levels of restrictions in different parts of the UK. England's lockdown is now more relaxed than the ones in Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Here in England, the city of Leicester went back into lockdown last week after a spike in COVID-19 infections. It's the only city in England now under such strict lockdown measures. People there are being urged to stay home. Public gatherings of more than 6 people are banned. And restaurants, non-essential shops, schools, and hotels remain closed. People who break the new rules can be fined. The regulations are set to be reviewed from July 18th.
Speaking of rules and and breaking. Let me ask you about this, because we've had a lot of conversations here in this country about whether leaders should be, setting a good example. And now we see that the Brexit Party leader, Nigel Farage, he tweeted a photo of himself at a pub on Saturday, which, going to a pub on Saturday, clearly a lot of people did, but why is it controversial for Nigel?
Yeah, so the controversy over that tweet was because the tweet came at that pub exactly 2 weeks after he was in the U.S. at a rally for President Trump. And people traveling from the U.S. to the U.K. are required to self-isolate for 14 days from the moment they arrive. Now, critics have called on police to investigate whether Farage broke the rules. One critic said the Brexit Party leader was showing a flagrant disregard for the safety of people in his community. Well, Farage responded on Twitter, claiming he has been back from the U.S. for 2 weeks, but Anne-Marie, he did not clarify exactly what date he returned.
I bet we won't be getting that. All right, Roxana Saberi, thank you so much.
You bet.